My name's Margaret. I am a former secondary school teacher, and for nearly 20 years, I've been delivering media literacy programmes for The Guardian and The Guardian Foundation. Who are The Guardian Foundation? Well, we're an independent charity that aims to increase access to the media. We believe that a free press is crucial to a functioning democracy and that everybody should have their voice heard and engage in the media they consume. And in order for media to hold power account, it must be made up of representative journalists. So our vision is a world where all people can tell their stories, access truth, and hold power to account. So in terms of what we do, we're passionate about engaging young people with news, and we have two media literacy programs. Behind the Headlines, which works with secondary and higher education groups, which I manage, which was set up in 2002. And our sister program, Newswire, as mentioned before, was set up in 2018, which works with primary groups. So we believe that there's four key components to media literacy and news literacy. It's about giving young people context so they can develop an understanding about how news is chosen, researched, verified, reported, edited, and produced. The next stage is about developing critical analysis, identifying ways that a news or information source may be misleading, asking questions, researching, fact-checking, in order that young people have the confidence to decide whether a news source is credible and trustworthy. Key in all of this is authentic hands-on learning. By participating in our programs, young people produce their own media using journalistic processes, which also makes it engaging, impactful, and interesting. And finally, it's about access. It's about working with underrepresented schools and communities to ensure that engaging with news isn't just something for the well-off or for those that can afford to pay. So 2021 has been a bit different for us. So in common with many institutions, we've had to adapt and innovate in order to keep on delivering our programs to young people and teachers. So we expanded our resources to support teachers and students and parents with remote learning at the beginning of the pandemic. We've organised teacher webinars to support remote learning when schools were closed and when schools were open. When schools are open, we're delivering our virtual workshop programme to young people across the UK as part of a blended learning approach. And finally, we've also moved into sort of looking at career opportunities for young people. So in the last summer, we organised 4 journalism masterclasses for young people. We expanded our profile to actually develop an online media careers week. And provide advice about career paths in media too. So in terms of Behind the Headlines, we aim to open up the world of news for young people aged 11 to 25. Our programme is devised and taught by professionals who have had experience of working in education, but have also been immersed in the world of journalism. We consult widely with teachers when developing our programmes and resources to ensure that our work supports the curriculum, is unique, engaging, and impactful, and puts young people at the heart of what we do. So in terms of our media literacy workshops, as mentioned, we would normally for the last 18 years have been delivering these out of our education centre based in the Guardian offices. But as I say, we have pivoted to virtual delivery. We currently now run 4 virtual news workshops. The first of these is Fake or For Real. We run Make a Local Newspaper. We do feature writing for sixth formers. And for Key Stage 4 and 5, we also do a slightly longer workshop called The Future of News. As mentioned, all sessions are delivered as part of a blended learning approach, and they also can be adapted for remote learning when schools are actually closed. And we try and make sure that the students actually and the teachers have resources both post and before the session so they can incorporate it into sort of a wider scheme of lessons if they wish to. So not only do we have specific workshop resources, we also provide a whole range of free media news resources on our website to support news and media literacy, and obviously working in the secondary space, that is across the curriculum. Teacher training is quite important to us as well, because we realise that teachers play such a crucial role in actually delivering media literacy. So we run a whole range of teaching webinars. So our next one is coincidentally called Teaching News, which is on the 23rd of November. We do half and full day subjects, conferences supporting subject specialists. We do initial teacher training because we realise that media literacy training is important for teachers when they start their careers. And we're often asked to run bespoke training sessions for both national and international news organisations. So finally, the final sort of aspect, the fourth aspect of what we do and it's crucial for us in terms of how the Guardian, our mission is to actually open up and demystify the world of media, to ensure that the media represents the industry and society that it serves. So we've done a lot of recent work, as mentioned, showcasing to young people career roles, career paths and resources to get them started. And most recently, we did a whole range of careers of women in STEM careers as part of Ada Lovelace Day. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd show you some resources and ideas from our Fake or For Real session that we ran, that's 40 minutes, a virtual session. So in this session, we do a number of different things. We get young people to discuss about how they find out about news, how they consume it. We get them to analyse the different ways that stories may be misleading. We get them to focus on questioning and research skills. And then finally, once we've gone, they put these skills into practice by creating their own Fake or For Real presentations using recent stories that we supply. And the Fake or For Real takes inspiration from the Guardian Instagram series, which is on Instagram stories every 2 weeks. More about that. But all our sessions are delivered in the context of how a news organisation works. So it puts that learning into sort of actuality as well. We talk to young people about where they find out about news, which is quite interesting in itself. And we get lots of responses back. So we get a whole range from things from like TV, radio, newspapers, friends and family, and then a whole range of apps, some of which we've heard of, some of which we haven't. But what's quite interesting with that is we sort of do some work with them and sort of say, well, actually, comparison to things like what's come through in Ofcom, we compare that with TV, friends and family, which is the top 2, and then apps and social media, which is number 4 at the moment, and friends and family. But following on from that, then we start to talk to them about, well, which of those do you trust to be the most important? So we do get some discussions which will cheer Josie's heart about the BBC, and about, you know, a trusted news source and the Guardian, if they've heard of us. But it's quite interesting in terms of getting your people to sort of rank them and think about. And they also start talking about the length of the news that they engage with, if it's only like a couple of sentences, or whether they actually sit and listen to a radio report for a minute, or a news report, or watch a news report for 2 minutes. But again, it gets them thinking about the sort of dissemination of news and how they get news and what they actually respond to it as well. So we've talked a lot about frameworks. We have a framework too. So moving on, once we've done that, we start to talk about then, well, you've started to ask questions. What question would you actually ask? So we've developed our own sort of, and taken sort of from lots of other inspiration as well. We use the 5 Ws because that's what journalists do, and that's the questions they normally ask. And built around that, we sort of unpack those 5 questions and get them to think about questions they would ask when actually researching sources. The second thing we talk about is the actual research itself. So we actually talk about lateral or horizontal research. And we talk about how you actually read online and how you need to step away from that sort of I read one book approach, which is I read the whole of the web page all the way down to the bottom, to actually open multiple tabs as you go along and actually start to work out the provenance of that story and start to see how much coverage it's actually got and read across the websites. We actually show them a Fake or For Real. Now, this is an old one. So this is Leia who presents it. And she and her team picks 3 stories from the news, and you have to vote on it. And then after each one, she actually gives a detailed explanation as to what it actually is.
Rat poison, pizza, and upside down planes. Can you spot this week's fake news? This video shows a plane being twisted around in a typhoon. Fake or for real? It's fake. The video got 12 million views on Facebook as Typhoon Mangkhut spread across southern China. But this part of the video is computer-generated footage. This part is genuine, but it's from an unrelated incident.
So that's a little sort of sample of our Fake or For Real. I just want to quickly run through our other 3. So we do make a local news front page. We discuss with students again about news, but we also get them to analyse and research their own local news. And in the context of our interaction with them in that 40-minute virtual session, we talk about news writing and structure, we talk about sub-editing, and we talk about picture choices, headline writing and production. And then after our intervention, they go on and actually create their own local news front page. And we've developed, we used to have a very sophisticated software in the education centre where you could make it in real time, but we've adapted those to exist in Microsoft PowerPoint, and you can share them in Google Classroom. So we're providing them with the tools to actually do that across a number of lessons. And again, taught through the prism of how a news organisation actually works. For 6th form groups, we do feature writing and news features. And again, it's looking at how the structure of a feature article is different from a news article, but it's still related to news. This one we run twice. We set them up to write a draft feature, and then because we're lovely, we come back in the second session and actually give them feedback on their feature and set them up on actually creating that further and developing that further across their learning. And our latest one is called The Future of News. It's actually 80 minutes. It's different for us in the sense it's not just us, we're actually working with members from our user experience and digital teams. And it's discussing where news is, where news was, and where news might be in the future, and actually getting young people to work on a collaborative task that they then have to present back to us and our colleagues from user experience and digital. Just to give you some numbers, we've worked with over 2,000 young people through our virtual program last year, over 300 teachers. We're currently over more than 146,000. We're desperate to get to 150,000 by the time we're at 20 next year. Students and teachers really value what we do. 50% of students say it's increased their interest in news. 88% says it's given them the research and questioning skills they need to check whether a story is trustworthy. And obviously teachers really rate our work in terms of the workshops that we do and the skills that we actually give young people. And then finally, for us in terms, we get lots, teachers really enjoy it and students really enjoy it. They like the fact that it's interactive, we're not talking to them, they're actually responding to us, we give them practical things to do. And a number of other things, it's given us a chance to actually work with a whole range of schools that we wouldn't necessarily be able to come to us in London. Schools do travel quite a way, but I was working with a school in Northern Ireland yesterday, we were working with a school in Scotland the week before. So again, it's sort of expanded our reach in a different way. So even when we go back to on-site delivery, we will still carry on doing virtual. So that's a positive thing to take from the last 15 months or so. Newswire, Faye may also talk about Newswire, so I'm not going to talk hugely about it, but it's our brilliant sister organisation. It is a partnership between us, the NLT and PSHE. It's about teaching critical literacy in context. They have a 12 lesson unit of work, 60 plus amazing resources and opportunities to interact with journalists, as well as teacher training and family learning. And it's all about creating an immersive experience for young people. So if you take part in Newswire, you actually set up your own journalism training school in your primary school. And you actually add the teacher as the editor-in-chief, you will get specific roles. It's all about making it real and actual. And we also give young people the opportunity to hear with journalists, as we do in Behind the Headlines, to actually make them realise what it is in terms of aspiration building, but also make it relatable in terms of what journalists do and also their role in fact-checking and actually sort of the role of news in holding power to account, which leads lastly on to my last couple of slides. It's all about making media and news literacy real, using real news examples and engaging young people with news, because children really do respond to news. And our greatest success has come from actually involving young people with difficult news stories as well. This lesson is on Windrush. It's one of the most popular ones that we have in Newswire. And children are outraged by this story. And it really helps them understand the role of news in holding power to account and the important right to have up-to-date and information that covers the whole of society. And likewise, the results for Newswire are fantastic. Just in terms of recent evaluations show that pupils taking part increased their interest in news, had greater critical engagement, and improved their confidence when gathering news. And likewise, 100% of teachers said that pupil skills about thinking about the news and being critically analytical, had increased, and 100% of teachers said they are now more confident in being able to teach news literacy with their students. So just to sum up, for us, effective news and media literacy education is about those 4 principles, which is understanding, access, critical analysis, and participation. And we aim to do that and deliver it with interactivity, creativity, authenticity, and trying to be unique. Thank you very much. And that is me.